right, so 6A, very top. Okay. All right, so we've been talking about, we're talking about a yad, like what is the term again? An incomplete yad, right? Yadayim she'eino mochichos, right? Language which isn't clearly referring or forbidding a particular thing. Right? So Abai says that had said that everybody considers a yad she'eino mochiach, an inconclusive yad, as valid, as binding. So now we're going to challenge that again. They say, they ask the question, Harehu halai, somebody says about something, then this is like, this is to me. He leaves out the essential part, which is this is forbidden to me. Okay, but that's what we're wondering if that's what he means. Or hare zeh, or this, but he doesn't say what, this what. You know, again, we're wondering, does he mean this is forbidden to me? Sir, then this source says that, yes, we do understand that he's trying to make it forbidden to him, shehu yad lekorban, because that is a valid handle or indirect reference to a korban. In other words, this language is understood to be, this is like a korban to me. Okay, and of course, a korban you're forbidden to benefit from. So tama the amar alai. So that's because he says the word alai, to me. That's why it's forbidden. But if he doesn't say this is to me, then that would not be sufficient to make it forbidden to you. Doesn't that refute Abai? Because Abai said that an inconclusive yad is valid, and here we're implying that certain kinds of inconclusive yads are valid, but others are not. But I can answer. I can say it's because he said the word to me. But if he says this, if he just says like without the word this to me, and say to me, doesn't necessarily refer to a korban, right? If you use that unspecific language, it could be that it's a yad for something else. It's not a yad for making something forbidden to you. It's your intention to do something else with it, like to give it to tzedakah or to make it ownerless or whatever. Okay. So in other words, that's, I think what he's saying is that's not even a yad. Like that's a yad to something, but it's clearly not, specific to a korban. So Gemara says, "Well, but we said that it's because it is a yad, an indirect or implied comparison to a korban. We said that, like, so in other words, the language of the Brisa implies that, yes, we know we're talking about a korban, and the whole question is, did he say a lie or not? If he's to me, okay, so we know we're talking about a korban. If you said to me, this is to me like a korban, then that's acceptable, that's binding. But if you don't say the words to me, which makes it a yad to a korban, right? Then this brisa is implying that it's not forbidden. Alema. So we have to understand it a little differently. Tama diamar alai, hu asur b'chavera mutar. It's only because he said the word alai to me that the alai means to me and not to you, right? To me and not somebody else. I am accepting this is to me like a korban, but you, Charlie, you don't have to worry about it. Avalamar harehu, but if you just said this is, then Shnei Masur, then both me and Charlie have to consider it like a korban. The Dilma Harehu Heknesh Kamar. Now this is strange because, like, why is Charlie bound by what I said, right? But what if I were to say this is Heknesh? This is sanctified to the temple, then everybody is forbidden from using it. So maybe that's what's going on here. Okay, so in other words, Abai could say that this has nothing to do with like the word alai has nothing to do with being a yad. It's the question of what is my intention in the first place? Is it my intention to just make a vow that I'm not going to benefit from this, or am I making it sanctified? So if I use the word alai, then it's only to me, right? But if I don't use the word alai, it's not that it's just an implied yad. It's that I could be making it worse, right? I could be making it hekdesh, and that's why. And that's what the intention of the Brisa is saying, that not only to me, but also to everybody else. Meisvei, here's another question for Abai. Harezu chatos, harezu asham. Person says, I'm designating this as a korban chatos or a korban asham. Aval bishu chayav chatos v'asham. Even though I had the obligation by whatever accidental sin I performed, I have to bring a chatos. So it would make sense, So like I can't just go say I'm going to give a chatas if I'm guilt free, right? This is a sin offering after all. But even if I do have the obligation for a chatas, then by saying harezu chatas, this animal is a chatas, then lo amar klum. That is not. That's not significant. You have to say this is my chatas. This is the chatas that I'm responsible to bring. You can't just designate something as a chatas. It has to be for a particular sin, and you have to say so. But harezu chatasi. But if you say this is my chatas, harezu ashami, this is my asham, then so if you have an obligation to bring the chatas for an asham, then this works. Saying this is my chatas means the one that I am responsible for because of the sin I did. But if not, then if you don't say mine, it's my chatas, then it's meaningless. So again, this is a inconclusive yad, right? It seems like it's the same as an inconclusive yad, right? Where it's an incomplete statement. And didn't the Abaye say that everybody agrees that these incomplete statements are valid? So Abaye says, Hamani Rabbi Yehuda, this is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. So indeed, Rabbi Yehuda says that it holds differently, that you need a conclusive declaration and not an inconclusive one. So Gemara says, wait, Abaye the Amar, another Amar Afila Rabbi Yehuda. Abaye is the one who said everybody holds this, even Rabbi Yehuda. Right? So now you're saying it's not like Rabbi Yehuda. No, that's not what Abaye said. Abaye says that Rabbi Yehuda and everybody else agree that there is no such thing as an inconclusive yad. Every yad is conclusive. So this is evidence to the contrary. Gemara says, oh, Abaye changed his mind. He says, oh, okay, everybody else. I now see that Rabbi Yehuda says that there's such a thing as an inconclusive yad. Everybody else I still think disagrees, but okay, I understand that now that Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with this and says that there is such a that you have to have a conclusive declaration. An inconclusive one does not count. So the Gemara says, "Lema Rava diamu Rabbi Yehuda." So Rava, who argued with Abaye, should we say that Rava is in accord with Rabbi Yehuda? Well, that seems pretty reasonable. Rava will say, no, not necessarily. My opinion is not only Rabbi Yehuda's. I think everybody holds like me that you don't need a conclusive declaration. The rabbis only think that you have to have a conclusive declaration regarding a divorce. Because, as opposed to the case of hekdesh, where I can make something forbidden to everybody, I can't divorce your wife, right? It doesn't make sense. So when I say you're divorced, it's obviously from me. There's no other way to interpret it.
But I also can't make something hektish if I am not the owner of it.
Okay, yes, that's true. So we're assuming that you have the rights to do that. That's a good point. So when regards divorce, we understand that whenever you say I'm getting divorced, it's from your wife. Okay, but everything else, not necessarily. You have to be more specific according to Rav. Okay, by Rav asks, what about marriage? Okay, if you're unspecific regarding marriage, what's the deal? So, hey, Shinami, what are we talking about? So you say to a woman, you're married to me, and you too. There's another woman saying there, and you too. So pshita, that's obvious. Like there's no other context. Like you're married to me, and so are you. That's clear what his meaning is. Haini kiddushin asman. That's not a yad. That's like stating you're married to me. What the case is, you say to a woman, you're married to me, and you, but you don't say and you too, right? You just say and you. You could be saying and you can get lost, right? But you're not being specific as to you what you want with the second person. So do we understand this as you too, you're also married to me, and the second person is also married. Maybe and he could be saying in you, like think about it, like what about you? Like you want to marry me, but that's not a declaration of marriage. And that wouldn't be an effective marriage. So Gemara asks, Umimi Baile Rav Papa, really Rav Papa asked this question. We think Rav Papa knows the answer. Rav Papa said to Abaye, Mi Savar Shmuel Yadayim Dain Mochichas having Yadayim. Rav Papa said to Abaye, does Shmuel really think that inconclusive yad is valid? Michlal Deshvir Leila Rav Papa Dieshli Yad Kedushin. So this implies that he does think that that this inconclusive declaration for marriage is valid. So where it says Chada migo mai desfir leilu Shmuel amalei Abaye. Rav Papa was questioning Abaye about an inconsistency in what Shmuel was saying. So Rav Papa doesn't know, he's unsure, like with Kiddushin, with marriage. Is a yad valid, or a partial yad valid, or an inconclusive yad valid or not? But if he's asking about Shmuel, like maybe Shmuel thinks that a inconclusive yad is always effective. So what Rav Papa is asking is, if Shmuel considers a yad effective, then like maybe he needs a conclusive yad with regard to Kiddushin and not an inconclusive one. Because Shmuel himself, in the case of Nazirus, had said that that an inconclusive yad is not effective. So the question is, does that apply to Kiddushin also? Maybe that's what Rav Papa is asking. Okay, now so we don't have it's unclear like how we resolve that. By Rav Papa, we move on to another question of Rav Papa. Yeshad Lepeya. What about Peya? So Peya, you have to declare. Peya is one of the gifts that a farmer has to leave for the poor. So Leka Chikha and Peya, right? There's three things you have to do when you're harvesting. One is if you drop things as you're, drop sheaves of wheat or whatever it is you're harvesting as you go along, you have to leave them there for the poor. And if you forget a piece of, you're going back and forth like a Zamboni and you skip a row, you can't go back and do it again. You have to do that for the poor. And also you have to leave one corner of the field for the poor. You can't harvest the whole field. You have to leave a corner, but you have to declare what that corner is. Like it's not that we always do, one of 60, one part in 6, whatever it's 2% of the northwest corner. No, you have to declare this is the Peya, this is the corner I'm moving. So Rav Papa wants to know, yesh yad Peya or ein yad Peya. What if you don't say this is Peya, but you just do an allusion to it, right? And so what exactly do you say? Hey, Hidami, how does this work? Hadain Ugda Leheve Peya. This patch is Peya. Hadain Name, and also this one, right? Because you can designate, two different corners, right? You can say the northwest corner is Peya and the southwest corner, right? So that is very clear. Hahi payam al yasahi. That's 100% declaration of payah. Kikam vayla. So what's the case of yad? Kidon diamar v'hadain. Like you don't say this is also the same as we've been talking about in the previous case, right? You say this northwest corner is payah, and the southwest corner, but you don't say in the southwest corner too. Okay, what about that? So Michlal de Chiamar Sada Kula Tebe Paya Havia Paya. So wait a minute. So Gemara says, wait, so you can do an unlimited amount of paya? Can you declare, for example, your whole field to be paya? The Gemara says, yeah, why not? Hatanya. Because and the proof is from this Bryce. I mean, Aishim wrote Salasos Kolsa de Paya. If Bryce says specifically, if you want to make your whole field Paya, the whole field is the corner that you're leaving for the Torah. Oh, so go ahead, tell them Lomar, because the Torah says Pa'as Sadcha, the edge, the corner of your field. So we're reading that as the Paya, the corner can be Sadcha, can be your whole field. Okay, so
it's been a while since I looked at, and I'll look it up for tomorrow. I think the Yerushalmi disagrees with this, and Rambam Paskins like Yerushalmi, but I'll check on that.
Really? Oh, cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think Yerushalmi, if I remember correctly, the Yerushalmi holds that you actually can't dedicate your whole field. You have to have something for yourself. But I'll check on that.
Okay.
Rambam, I know that Rambam consistently Paskins according to the Yerushalmi in Seder Zerayim when it contradicts the Bavli, which is interesting.
But I have to say that the question of the Gemara, like there's no indication that by saying this corner and also that corner, that doesn't imply that the whole field.
You can, that's right.
More,
and you can absolutely. Well, that's that Mishnah we read every morning. There's not a specific measure from the Torah for payah, so you can designate most
99.9%. Yeah, so maybe that could be what the Gemara is really asking. Like, can you do any proportion of your field up to 100%? But not up to, but not including 100%. You could read it that way.
Yeah.
In which case, it would not be contrary to the Yerushalmi that you think it might be saying.
That resolves it. Yeah, that would resolve it. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, back to the question about payah. Mi amrina and kivandiskach karbanos. Since payah is linked to karbanos, we'll see to sacrifices. We'll see where in a minute. So ma karbanos yesh lehem yad, af payah yesh lehem yad. So we know about a sacrifice that there you can use a yad, you can use an incomplete declaration. So maybe that applies to payah as well. Dilma, or maybe kiiskash levaltacher hudikash. No, in what sense do we link sacrifices with payah? Maybe that's just a question of baltacher, not to be late with it. Okay. So just as you can't delay too long with a carbon, you can't delay too long with payah. Now, wait a minute. The Gemara says, what is this connection between sacrifices and payah? The Tanya, we have a brisa. Me'imach. This is what is the passage here? This is something. Kiti darnader l'shalom when you make a vow to God, lo ta'acher l'shalom. Don't be late. Because God is seeking it from you. Okay, so the word me'imach from you, so me'imach is spelled the same way as me'amcha, right? Something that goes to your people. What goes to your people? The poor of your people, if you will, or whoever wants, like a chicha and payah, right? So that is the connection between sacrifices and payah. So again, we don't really have an answer to the question of Rav Papa. Like, is this partial, inconclusive yad effective in the case of kedushin or payah? We don't know. There's no answer yet. And now we're going to have a couple more of these, but I guess we can defer that till tomorrow. We're going to basically go through the same thing about tzedakah and about hefker, and then we'll move on to other topics of yaf.
Yes, you talk.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Indeed. See you then. Tomorrow we will again be Zoom only.
Gotcha.
Okay.